The pick is in.
The Miami Heat have made a selection in the 2025 NBA draft. Now by and Miami Heat have selected Kasparas Jakucionis out of Illinois with the 20th pick. Wes, your reaction to getting Kasparas at 20?
Surprised, right? The guy just kept sliding and he kept sliding, and we're sitting here at Kaseya Center for the Heat watch party and doing the math and just thinking, is this guy going to fall to Miami? This is not somebody that the Heat even worked out pre-draft. And so unsure if they were going to go ahead and take that swing there at 20, but ultimately it was too much of a talent to pass up. Let's remember that the Heat had an opportunity to maybe tank at the end of the year, maybe not win 2 road games in the play-in tournament and end up with a lottery pick. This is a guy who is projected to be a lottery pick. He falls to 20. Miami kind of miraculously gets a lottery pick in a sideways way out of this. So I think it's a great pick for them. I think he fills a lot of needs for them. It's a big swing for a team that needed to take a swing on some potential and some upside. And he definitely provides that and some playmaking and some ball handling that this roster desperately needs.
Size, court vision, combo guard versatility. What do you think they valued most in Jakucionis?
The ball handling and the playmaking. This is a team in desperate need of just a pick and roll playmaker. I don't know that there was a worse team last year at running pick and roll than Miami. If you just go through their guards, where Terry Rozier was unplayable, Tyler Hero's not a natural passer. They traded for Davion Mitchell late in the season, who was a journeyman at that point. I don't know that there was a team with a worse situation passing-wise than Miami. So they go ahead and get on, by a lot of accounts, the second best pick-and-roll playmaker in the draft behind Diego Ardemin. Some people had him as the number 1 pick-and-roll passer in the draft. So this is a guy with an immediate NBA skill set, and I think he walks in right away. I think he walks into Miami's locker room as the team's best passer, day one.
Now, he was turnover prone at Illinois. That was a knock on him coming into this draft. Do you think that that was the main reason for the slide? Do you have any speculation as to why he slid? And are you confident that Miami's development system can work out some of those kinks?
Yeah, I'm unsure why he slid. He was dealing with a forearm injury late in his tenure at Illinois, so maybe that's something popped up on the medicals or something like that. For some of these teams that let him slide. The other weird part about how the draft board broke, you have Brooklyn taking Diego Ardemin at 8. There wasn't, after that, a natural fit, especially after Portland traded out at 11 with Cedric Howard going to Memphis there. After that, there just wasn't really a natural fit for him. And so he kind of just kept tumbling down the draft board until there was a team with an obvious fit like Miami. So sometimes this stuff just happens. Sometimes it's just a fit thing. Sometimes it's like, hey, this guy was our second favorite guy on our board. We just went with our first favorite guy on our board instead. But maybe it's the injury history. Maybe it's the fact that he's not a top-end athlete. But at 20, that's not as much of an issue.
The Miami Heat, they miss out on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. Of course, he gets traded to the Houston Rockets. There are reports from Shams Charania of ESPN that the Heat could be targeting Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors for a sort of plan B situation. When you take that and you combine it with the pick that they've made here, it says what about Miami's plans for next season?
That they did not trade for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, and so they're going to go the other way. I think at the end of the day, Miami didn't offer all of their good young players and draft picks because they looked at themselves in the mirror and said, yeah, if we add a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, we're still probably too many pieces away from getting to where we want to go, which is, winning the Eastern Conference, getting back to the NBA Finals, and potentially winning a championship. And I think they were right in that calculation. And if you traded all of your stuff to go get Kevin Durant, then you suddenly had a lot fewer things to go improve the roster and augment the roster around Kevin Durant and Bam and Tyler Hero. As much as I think Miami did like the idea of that being a big three here, they just knew that they needed a supporting cast and no way to do it. So in a roundabout way, I think they made the decision to, if we're not going to go ahead and go all in for somebody like Durant here, then we kind of have to go the other direction. Bam's 27, Tyler Hero's 25. They're not old, they're not necessarily young, but they're not 37, right? And I think at the end of the day, you're seeing Miami make a calculated, not necessarily a step back, but really embrace maybe a youth movement here and say, our two best guys are 27 and younger. We like Nikola Jovic. We like Jaime Jaquez Jr. We like Kel'el Ware. Let's go ahead and take another guy here in the first round who we're pretty high on in Jakucionis, and keep building that way. And so if you look at Kuminga, 22 years old, 23 years old, he's another guy who fits that timeline. He's not 37. There's a lot of upside there. So I think that's what you're seeing the Heat do is again, it's not a rebuild. I don't even know if you call it a soft rebuild, but it's just a younger direction, perhaps.
All right, they roll the dice. They keep the pick. They fill a need. For more on Kasparas Jakucionis, here's Sonny Verma, host of Locked On Illini.
Let me tell you why Kasparas Jakucionis might be the sleeper of the NBA draft. My name is Sonny Verma, your host at Locked On Illini, and let me tell you a little bit about Kasparas. Kasparas was one of the best players in the entire country for the first 2 months of the season, carrying this Illinois team to 22 wins on the season. He did have an injury about 3/4 of the way through and didn't quite recover from that. But if you're looking for a 6'4.5" point guard with size, poise, and ice in his veins, you can't do much better than Kasparas. Sure, his game is not flashy, but it brings you results. I'll tell you, any NBA team is going to be very lucky to draft Kasparas.
All right, and that team was the Miami Heat. For continued coverage of Kasparas Jakucionis, check out Locked On Heat on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.